Well, hello dear students. I am Zeeshan Sir. The prelims exam has been postponed and the UPSC aspirants have found themselves with an additional 2 months or so for their mains preparation. And the students are seriously considering answer writing in this 2 or 2.5 months span that they have before the prelims examination. But in today's video, I am going to speak about what specific issues are the students facing when it comes to answer writing practice, number one. Number two, how I am facilitating answer writing for my students as part of the Sangharsh Answer Writing Battle Club. And number three, how even you can benefit from this initiative in the sense you can hope to maintain consistency in the next 2 or 2.5 months in your answer writing practice, and you can hope to understand the actual demand of UPSC from your answers rather than just dumping knowledge, dumping content in the answers. Also, you can understand how you can cover as much syllabus as possible in the next 2 months or so. And finally, how you can hinge your study, your daily routine around this answer writing practice session of yours. So, starting with the issues that the students are facing, number one is consistency. What happens or what is happening now that all of a sudden students have found an additional window of 2.5 months and they have started answer writing practice as a knee-jerk step. But after doing answer writing for a few days, they are starting to lose momentum and they are simply clueless as to how to maintain that consistency over a period of 2 months. Number one. Number two, students generally lack the idea of what UPSC actually demands from the answers. If you see the answers of an average UPSC aspirant, you'll see dumping of content, dumping of knowledge in the answers rather than addressing the demand of the question, addressing the subparts of the question. Next comes how to cover as much syllabus as possible in the next 2 months along with writing answers on a daily basis. So covering of maximum possible syllabus along with answer writing. That's another concern for the UPSC aspirants. Next, ultimately how to sharpen your answer writing skills so as to fetch those extra marks in your answers which ultimately help you in finding yourself higher in the final list of UPSC result. So how to address these problems, how to address the problems of maintaining consistency, covering as much syllabus as possible, addressing the demand of the questions and so on. So now let me speak about the Sangharsh Answer Writing Battle Club, as a part of which daily activities are being undertaken. As you can see on the screen, you can see 7 questions that are present on the screen. So on a daily basis, 7 questions are provided to the students, and as you can see, all these 7 questions pertain to GS paper 4, that is ethics. Now we had received many requests from students that we want to cover our ethics portion, our ethics syllabus as much as possible. So please start with ethics. So we have started with ethics, and the 7 questions, as you can see, relate to one area of the syllabus, one sub-bit of the syllabus. Just to enumerate it quickly, question number 1, what do you understand by virtue ethics? Question 2, what are the advantages of being ethical in your personal life? How does it affect one's public life? What does a good life mean to you? How does ethics help in living a good life? Differentiate between values and ethics. What significance do they hold in the professional sphere? What is meant by medical ethics? Why is it important to study it? Give specific examples in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. Define the conflict of interest. Why is it important to resolve it in civil services? Illustrate with the examples. And lastly, what does the following quotation mean to you? Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all, Aristotle. So daily 7 questions are provided. These questions pertain to the very first day of the club, my dear students. Now after these 7 questions are provided, you are expected to write these 7 questions in a span of 1 hour. So in the real examination, you will be writing around 20 questions in 1 hour, 3 hours. So that way, 7 questions in 1 hour. If you are a beginner, if you don't have a good command or answer writing, in the beginning, you may exceed the time limit. But with the passage of time, you are expected to complete this exercise in a matter of 1 hour. Okay, this is about the questions that will be shared. After that, broad structure of each answer will be shared. Model answers won't be shared, dear students. No spoon feeding will be done. Broad structures. As you can see, the broad structure speaks about what you are expected to write in the introduction, what you are expected to write in the body, then what you are expected to write in the conclusion, and so on. But the main emphasis of these broad structures is on the possible use of diagrams and the possible use of examples. As you all know, be it GS1, GS2, GS3 or GS4, diagrams or relevant examples are the scoring aspects of your papers. And that's why the emphasis on possible use of diagrams and examples. Now, in this case, the original question that we are addressing is, what do you understand by virtue ethics? State its importance in public life. So, a possible diagram has been shared where virtue ethical theories have been discussed through a projection diagram. Next, possible use of examples have been used. For example, Mahatma Gandhi considered non-violence as a virtue because of its inherent peace or inherent harmlessness, and also the concept of Superman in the Western world as a virtuous personality. Now, originally the concept of Superman had a negative overtone. Now, that was in the original sense. But today, as seen in popular fiction, Superman is seen as a positive personality, as a virtuous personality. So these are just a few possible examples and a possible diagram. In every question, not in every question, in most of the questions, possible diagrams will be shared and possible examples will be shared wherever they are possible to be used. Okay, moving ahead, as you see, a note has been given where the syllabus subbit is being shown from which the question has been asked. Here, the syllabus reference is for ethics and human interface, essence, determinants and consequences of ethics in human action, dimensions of ethics, ethics in private and public relations. So this is a complete subbit of the ethics syllabus which is being addressed in these 7 questions. And in this way, maximum possible syllabus of not only the ethics paper, but all the 4 GS papers will be covered. Apart from that, as you can see, a link has been shared to virtue ethics. If you want to study it further, if you want to consolidate your understanding about virtue ethics further, you can refer this link. And similarly, other links to standard sources, standard websites, government websites, or specific page numbers of standard books, like be it Lakshmikant or be it some economy book, be it some environment book, will be shared so that you can consolidate your understanding over the aspects that are being discussed in the question. And lastly, as you can see, reference to comments on the best copy has been given. Now, talking about the best copy, dear students, as I have discussed earlier, 7 questions will be shared on a daily basis. After that, 7 broad structures will be shared with having major emphasis on diagrams and examples. After that, best copies for each and every questions will be shared. Like there will be 7 questions, so 7 best copies, 1 best copy for each question will be shared. Now these copies will be from the copies that you will be posting on a daily basis, and the best copy will be shared on the same day. 12 o'clock will be the cutoff time for you to share your answers, and by evening you will get the best copy of each and every answer. Just to give you an example, this is a copy, this is an answer written by a student of mine. Now this is not from one of the copies shared by you, because till now the formal sessions of the club have not begun. So I'm using an answer written by my student, but the question is same. What do you mean by virtue ethics? And state its importance in its public life. So as you can see, the student has written a simple introduction in his own language. So the comment has been given that it's a good introduction, it's simple and it's to the point. So no problem in the introduction here. Then the student has given the example of Mahatma Gandhi, but the student haven't just used the name of Mahatma Gandhi for the sake of using it. He has used it in the proper context. So the comment apt used of example of Mahatma Gandhi has been given. What is the next comment? Include and explain different component of virtue ethics such as intellectual virtues, moral virtues and so on. So this portion of his answer was somewhat lacking in relevant content. So this comment has been given so that he can enrich his answer further. Then what comment has been given? Comparison of virtue ethics with deontology and consequentialism is not a demand of the question. Now what the student has done here, he has given reference to consequentialism, deontology and so on in this answer. But this is not the demand of the question. This is exactly what we are going to address as part of this club. If you look at the question again, the question is very straightforward. The question asks you, what do you mean by virtue ethics and its importance in public life? Where does deontology come in? Where does consequentialism come in? So this comment has been given here. Moving ahead, importance of virtue ethics in public life. Now the student has given 2 examples, one of Mahatma Gandhi, one of Nelson Mandela, and then he has written a generic sentence that it facilitates trust building. Here I've given a comment, explain how. What does it mean? Just by trying a hit and run approach, that means just giving name of Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, or just giving a generic statement here doesn't convey the real or exact meaning to the evaluator. You'll have to briefly explain how exactly Mahatma Gandhi was benefited by virtue ethics in his public life. Similar thing goes with Nelson Mandela and the next statement as well. So briefly you'll have to explain these examples rather than mentioning the names only. All right. Next, the comments that have been given are site specific examples, avoid general examples. Now here, as you can see, the student has written valid points, and the example that he has given, that followers of religious ethical leaders are also ethical. Now that's okay, but that's a very generic thing to say. The student could have very well used the example of a religious leader and how he has facilitated his followers to act ethically, to act in a virtuous way. Now that would have made the answer very much concrete. So this specific comment has been given, avoid generic examples. What next? Now the comment that has been given, or the conclusion that the student has written is, hence each person should develop virtue ethics in himself, specifically in his public life. Now again, this is a very generic conclusion, not a very concrete conclusion. What comment has been given here? In the way forward, write a practical way to develop a virtuous personality. Example, constitutional morality, which means various constitutional virtues as provided in the constitution could have been used as a guiding light in the conclusion of this student. Now that would have made the conclusion very much concrete, very much forward looking, and very much realistic. Now this is just one example how the best copies would look and how comments would be given on those best copies, and how other students, how you can benefit from these best copies. Now moving ahead of best copies, dear students, after you have received the broad structure of the answer, after you have seen the best copy of each and every question among the 7 questions, every evening I'll be taking a chat based session in my Habitat Club where I will be discussing one question from the 2020 UPSC Mains question papers. So daily one question from the 2020 paper I'll be discussing on a daily basis. Just to take an example, on the first day I'm going to discuss this question from the ethics paper from 2020. Discuss the role of ethics and values in enhancing the following 3 major components of comprehensive national power, that is human capital, soft power, that is culture and policies, and social harmony. So what is the benefit of discussing past year questions on a daily basis? Here, discussing past year questions will help you to allay your fears, to remove your fears of facing the real questions faced by UPSC. Also, rather than just imposing my view, I'll be having a real-time interacting session with you guys, and the qualitative inputs given by you, be it in terms of content, be it in terms of examples, diagrams, or anything else, if those are qualitative, I will also include those aspects in the discussion of this particular question that I'll be discussing on a daily basis. And after the discussion is over, I'll be pinning all those discussions, all the important messages that will be qualitative. And after the session, you can download a PDF of the important pinned messages, which will act as a ready reference for you guys. Now you can do this on a daily basis. Daily one PDF you can download for the past year questions that we'll be discussing. So after the past year question has been discussed, as soon as this discussion is over, a peer discussion will start on the original 7 questions that you have written in the morning slot, dear students, in which you will be discussing among other students, among your peers, and you will be benefited by the thought process of like-minded students, of students who may have better understanding over the concepts being discussed than you. So certainly some students may have better repository of examples, better understanding of introductions, better repository of diagrams, and so on. And by sharing this information among yourselves, you will stand benefited. So to sum up, daily 7 questions will be shared in the night as soon as the day changes, 12 p.m. in the night, and you are expected to write those 7 questions in 1 hour. Then the broad structures for those 7 questions will be shared with major emphasis on examples and diagrams, and in this way we'll be covering maximum possible syllabus in this period of 70 days. And as sources will also be shared, you will be also able to consolidate various concepts, various facets being discussed in the questions. Next, 7 copies, 7 best copies will be evaluated on a daily basis. Each copy from 1 question. So there are 7 questions being shared every day. So 7 copies will be evaluated and shared for benefit of all the club members. Next, I'll be discussing one UPSC question from 2020 paper on a daily basis, and after my session you will be having a peer discussion among yourselves on the 7 questions that you have already written. So that's all in today's videos, dear students. You'll find all the information related to the Sangharsh Answer Writing Battle Club in the link provided in the description box and the comment section below. So do explore the link provided in the description box and the comment section below, dear students. Do take very good care of yourselves. Jai Hind.